Well, thanks, Shaka. On March 28th, the United Nations Security Council unanimously adopted Resolution 2098, which cleared the way for the world's body's first ever offensive combat force. The mandate of this intervention brigade, comprised of infantry battalions from Tanzania, South Africa, Mozambique, and Malawi, is to neutralize and disarm the M23 rebels and other armed groups, of course, in the Eastern Kivu region of the DRC. The Congolese rebel group has promised to retaliate if it's attacked by the UN's approved force of more than 2,500 troops. This growing situation leads us to our question of the week for today's program. Will the United Nations Special Intervention Brigade be able to restore peace and security in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo? Well, we'll go right to your answers and begin with a comment from Badiamina Jazz Maruva from South Africa, who writes, "Instead of a toothless United Nations, let's use South Africa and Nigeria to restore peace in this continent. Western countries don't care about us. All they care about is the wealth and minerals they are getting illegally." I think it's a little bit harsh, but let's see what Walimbua Walter, a Facebook fan from Entebbe in Uganda, has to say. "God have mercy, because the UN might cause more conflict. DRC needs to settle its own problems with its intrusive neighbors. The UN should just facilitate the process." Shaka, it seems like there's a lack of confidence in the United Nations and also in the West in general, according to the two comments I just mentioned.
Well, I hear you, Mariama, and it looks obviously that there is a reason sometimes for people to have no confidence in the international organizations. But what about a lot of people who seem not to have confidence in their own leaders, their own governments? Isn't that perhaps the major problem, why we have problems in the Great Lakes region?
That is definitely part of the problem. You've got governments all over that region. I mean, just straight from the Horn all the way to the western part of the country. The central part is littered with dictators and ruthless, murderous leaders who continue to oppress and kill their own citizens. And in the Great Lakes region especially, we've got some of the most ruthless dictators.
How can you call them dictators? These are people who call themselves freedom fighters.
Freedom for who? Freedom for who? They fought wars claiming they're bringing democracy to the countries that they're leading now or misleading. And they got into those countries and became even more oppressive than some of the previous regimes. They continue, a lot of their populations continue to run away from their countries. Anyone who speaks out is jailed. Journalists are sent to jail on a regular basis